Hello guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in today's video we're going to be making this beautiful high-low blouse, and as you can see the blouse is looking really beautiful. If you're interested in watching how I made this blouse, kindly stay tuned to the end of this video. Thank you so much for stopping by, and kindly like, share and subscribe. Okay guys, let's get started. So I'm going to be folding my fabric into two, which I've gone ahead to do. I'm going to be illustrating how I did that, and using this white paper you're going to take one edge and you're going to flip it to the other side, just as you see me doing. This is going to give you a triangular shape just like this. The edge is the edge of my fabric and the middle is the midpoint of my fabric. Okay, so I'll keep that aside and then we'll go ahead and start placing our measurements. Okay, so first of all I'm going to determine 10 inches. Okay, now this 10 inches you're going to ensure that your shoulder can fit in, can accommodate into this 10 inches and leave you some allowance. Okay, so I'm gonna head to mark that out and I'll rule the line. Okay, so go ahead to do what I'm doing right now, and then from that 10 inches this is going to serve as our starting line, and I'm going to determine the chest line. My chest line is 8 inches and I'm going to go ahead and rule that out. Okay, so you're going to rule your chest line just as you see me doing. Okay, ensure you follow the rhythm of the triangle. Okay, and then from there I'm going to place my shoulder. My shoulder is 7.5 plus half inch. I'm going to mark out 8 inches, and then I'm going to mark out my bust divided by 4, which is 8.5 on the chest line, and then I'll mark that out, and then from that 8.5 I'll be adding 2 inches for ease, and then I'll mark that out. Now I'm going to go ahead and connect both points to each other just like this. Okay, so you're going to roll both points together. Okay, next thing we're going to do right now is to determine the midpoint of the armhole depth, which is 4 inches. You go in by half an inch and then you're going to curve out your armhole curve. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cover my armhole curve just as you see me doing. So go ahead and do yours just like this. Okay, now that's it. Next thing I'm going to be doing right now is to mark out the neck. So for my neck I'm using 3.5 inches for the width and I'm using 3 inches for the depth. Okay, so 3.5 inches for the width and 3 inches for the depth. That's 3.5 by 3. I'll mark that out and I'll use my curved ruler to curve it together. I'm going to be using my curved ruler to curve it together. If you do not have a curved ruler, you can go ahead and use your free hand. Okay, and then we're going to curve it together just like this. So guys, you also have something like this. I'm going to be marking out my shoulder slant. Okay, so for my shoulder slant I'm going to come to the armhole depth. I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Okay, just like this, and I'm going to slant that into the neck. So go ahead and slant it into your neck just as you see me doing. Yeah, so guys, this is what you ought to have. And then right now we're going to go ahead and mark out the length of the blouse. So for the front part of the blouse I'm going to be starting from the tip of my shoulder. Okay, so from the tip of my shoulder I'm going to take the length. Okay, so for the length I'm going to be using 22 inches for the front as the length of the blouse. Okay, and then I'm going to be adding 1 inch for allowance, so that's 23, and then I'm going to mark this 23 inches all around just as you see me doing. So from the tip of the shoulder, ensure that your tape does not leave the tip, and then you're going to mark 23 inches all around and go ahead and connect it together. Next thing we're going to do is to slant the edge to the armhole where the armhole stops. Okay, so you're just going to slant it just like this, and then you're going to go ahead and cut this out, just as you see me doing. This is what you ought to have. So as you can see, we have the front. I'm going to go ahead and cut the back. So for the back, we're going to place the front on the back, and then from the tip of the shoulder we're going to mark out the length for the back. As you know, the back is longer than the front. I added 5 inches. You can add more than that. And then I added 1 inch for allowance, that's 29. And then I'm going to curve this to the edge. So I'm curving it in a slanted shape, so 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, all the way till I can curve it to the edge, and then I'm going to connect it together. As you can see, it's curved. Okay, go ahead and cut it just like this, and that's it, guys. So this is what we have for both the front and the back. And then I'm going to mark out the wrong sides, which is going to enable me, guide me. This is going to guide me when I'm sewing. Okay, so guys, this is what we have. As you can see, I did not add allowance for the edge because the armhole curve, there was an allowance there. Next thing we're going to be doing right now is to cut out the sleeves. I've gone ahead to do that, and it's just a basic sleeve. I have a tutorial on that, and then I'm going to mark out the wrong sides too, just like this. And next thing we're going to be doing right now is to stitch. So I've gone ahead to place both front and back together, right sides facing each other. I'm going to be using the bias to turn the neck, and then I'll join the shoulder, both shoulders, and then I'll join the edge of the dress by 1 inch. The shoulder you join by ½ inch. Okay, go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead right now and do that. And then for the sleeves, I'm going to be hemming it. Okay, I'm going to hem it by 1 inch too, and then after hemming we're going to join it together, just as you see me doing. So guys, you're going to go ahead, I'm going to go ahead right now and stitch that and come back and show you guys. So after stitching, this is what I have. I've gone ahead to turn the neck, and then I've closed the shoulder and the edge of the dress. So for the sleeves, I went ahead to hem it by 1 inch, just as you can see. So I'm going to ensure that the tip of the blouse is aligning. So I'm going to trim out any excess that hinders the alignment, just like this. And then I'm going to go ahead right now and do that, just as you see me doing. So go ahead and trim out any excess. Next thing I'm going to do right now is to working on the armhole. Okay, so the armhole, you have to recurve it, you understand? I have to recurve my armhole, which I'm going to go ahead and do. You're just going to curve it inside, just like this. As you can see, it's deeper and it's curved. Now I'm going to go ahead and determine the what I have at the curve. Okay, what I have at the curve is 8.5 inches. Now I'm going to place that 8.5 inches on the sleeves. Okay, the curve of the sleeves, armhole curve of the sleeves. And then I'm going to place the 8.5 inches that I have at the armhole of the blouse on the armhole of the sleeves. Okay, and then I'm going to mark that out. And then down below at the edge of my sleeves, I'm going to mark out 7 inches. To get this, you're going to divide your round arm divide by 2 plus 1 inch or 1.5 inches for ease. And then I'm going to connect both points together. Okay, just like this. Okay, so I'm going to do what I did on the first sleeves. I'm going to duplicate that on the second sleeve. Okay, I'm going to do that on the second sleeves. So like I said, you're going to place what you have at the armhole of the blouse, at the armhole of the blouse. You're going to place what you have at the armhole of the blouse on the armhole of the sleeves. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark 8.5 inches, which I have at the armhole of the blouse and the armhole of the sleeves, and I'm going to mark 7 inches at the edge. I'm going to connect both points together, just like this. Okay, so I'm going to connect both points together just like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and stitch on that on both lines that I have. I'm going to go ahead and stitch on that. Next thing we're going to do is to trim out the excess. So we're going to trim out the excess allowance. Okay, I trimmed out about ½ inch allowance thereabouts, and this is what we have. I'm going to go ahead and stitch on that, and I'm going to add the sleeves, join the sleeves to the dress, to the blouse. Okay, I'm going to join the sleeves to the blouse just like this. So guys, I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what we have. As you can see, the blouse is looking all good, and you ought to have something like this. And then for the edge of the flay, I'm going to be weaving it, and then after weaving it, I'm going to hem it once. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.